Hey guys, what is up? What is going on out there this morning, today? Whether you're catching the live version, maybe on the replay, what's going on? Hope you're having a great start to your day wherever you are. I'm here in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. A little rain last night and more on tap for today. So, just like everywhere else in the West, we need the rain. It's actually been pretty good the last, I'd say, 7 to 10 days. So, not that we're getting out of the drought danger zone, but we are getting some rain falling out of the sky, so that's all good. Guys, what I've got for you today is I've had enough requests over the last, I don't know, few months asking for, what have I done for certain kinds of injuries? Tennis, golfer's elbow, probably being the most common question, but the other one is plantar fasciitis as well, which I may get into later this week. I've had both of these injuries. I've had golfer's elbow, the inside part of the elbow, and I've had several bouts of plantar fasciitis. Fortunately for me, knock on wood, it's been decades since I've suffered with certainly with the plantar fasciitis injury and the elbow injury. I mean, occasionally I'll get a little twinge, but I know what to do now to be able to take care of it. So, what I want to talk about today are, Bunchy, thank you. What I want to talk about today are three things with the elbow injuries that never worked for me. And, you may have experienced the same thing as well. And before we get into that, first and foremost, that's right. I'm not a doctor. I'm not medically certified in any shape or form. So, what I'm going to talk about today are solely my personal experiences, or based on my personal experiences. And if you feel that you need to get professional advice, then do so. Go talk to your doctor. And yeah, but so what I want to chat with you today about is what I've tried that did not work. Now I do have a program, and the link is down below in the description area. It's a two-phase program. Number one, how I have successfully treated injuries for myself, and then how I've actually prevented future injuries as well. That link is down below in the description area. But let me tell you three things that never worked for me, and actually never worked for me. You could apply this. Well, you could apply this certainly to both plantar fasciitis and to also the elbow injuries. But number one has been that thing about icing, where they say, just take a big bag of ice and just put it on top of that elbow. And the reason that never worked for me, and because my understanding, my layperson's understanding of what's going on with an elbow injury, is that the tendon that connects muscle to bone, which again, my layperson's not medically certified, my understanding is that that's the function of a tendon, is to connect muscle to bone. And when we have an elbow injury, that tendon gets a little nicked in there. Sometimes just minor, where you feel a little something, or sometimes major, right, where it's actually a tear. And what I tried before was the recommendation of, all right, well, you got to reduce inflammation in that tendon, so put a big bag of ice on top of it. And so for me, why it didn't work, and maybe why it's never worked for you, is when you put the big bag of ice on your elbow, you're also icing down. You're icing down the healthy stuff, right? All the muscle around it. And to me, with that sort of, my vision was, well, if I'm icing down muscle as well, then I'm just shortening the muscle, right? And isn't that pulling tighter on a nicked or torn tendon? I think it is. And so for me, I think that's why I never got any relief from that method of icing. I do have a different method of icing that's worked well for me, which is in my program. But if you're putting the big old bag of ice on your elbow injury, and you're not getting the results that you want, maybe that's the reason, is because the big bag is also icing down the healthy stuff. We don't need to reduce inflammation in the healthy stuff. We need to just reduce inflammation in the stuff that's inflamed, right? In the tendon area. So anyway, that's thing one. Thing two for me was, well, you got to strengthen. Obviously you got something weak, there. So you got to strengthen it. All right. So to me, I've tried it, and when I strengthened, I got my forearm and I got my upper arm stronger, but it just shortened. It just pulled tighter. It shortened the muscle, even though it got stronger. It didn't stretch it out. It got stronger, and it continued to pull on that tendon, which was nicked, right? And so that didn't help. And so for me, my understanding is that when you've got an elbow injury, the first phase, the first part of treating it is you got to heal it, right? You got to get it healthy. And so strengthening the muscle just never worked for me in terms of healing that and treating that tendon. And then the third thing that never worked for me was this thing about, well, you know what, you got to get in there and you got to dig and you got to break up all that scar tissue. Hello, how painful is that? And is that really healing that nicked tendon? For me, it didn't work. For me, all it did was just aggravate it more. And so those are three things that I tried that did not work for me. And maybe you've tried one or all of those, or maybe something else that didn't work for you. And so look, if that's the case, and you want my recommendation on what's worked for me, again, not a doctor, not medically certified. I do have a program, and the program is guaranteed not to get the same results that I got. But if you try the program and it doesn't work for you, then let me know. You get 100% refund. So it is a total satisfaction, quote unquote, guarantee. And one of the reasons I think that we get elbow issues in tennis is the old death grip. I mean, we get mentally, for some reason, whatever's going on, we get nervous, we get tight. We get concerned about choking. We're up 5-3 in the set. We're trying to serve it out. And mentally, we just create this tension. And the tension ends up in the hand, in the grip, squeezing tightly. And you might have perfect swing technique, but if you're gripping too tightly at contact, or not even at contact, just throughout the whole swing, I think you're really doing some damage to the wrist, to the elbow, to the shoulder, to the lower back, and to the good old brain stem, right? Of just frustration. So my first thing is that, my first part of the future prevention, once you've treated your elbow injury and you're pain-free, the first thing I always tell people, I always tell players is, look, you got to go out there and you got to tinker on the court with a feeling of not getting tight on the grip. And if you can get that feeling, and one way to do it is hit a ball that is just loosey-goosey, floppy. There's no way you'd want to play tennis that way. Go to the other extreme, hit the next ball super tight and go, don't want that. Find something that's in between that for you feels like you can swing through the ball with swing freedom and naturally get some spin, naturally get some power without having to muscle through the ball. And if you can do that, I think what you're going to find is that, first of all, you're a more consistent shot maker. Number two, the risk of another injury, I think, goes down. But I think mentally, it all starts with the brain, right? It all starts with not getting tight, with not being nervous, without not doing all those things that create all the tension mentally that end up in your grip. And so that's a whole other program, the whole mental thing, right? And a lot of the whole mental thing is, well, in practice, you're fine. Off the ball machine, you're fine. Drilling cross court up the line, whatever, you're fine. And maybe even some practice points or games or sets, you're fine. But once you get into the match, you're no longer fine, right? You bring this extra tension into that match, and I got to show you how not to do that. I do have a program coming up in the next week or two, and I want to show you what I do to be able to go and take that kind of mindset from practice over to the match, where I feel like now, I mean, I used to be tighter than a drum. When I first started playing tournaments back in the day, I was just the definition of tight. And I could go out there and play someone who'd maybe picked up a racket last Thursday for the first time, decided they were to enter a tournament, and I could beat this player 1-1, right? They could barely hit the ball over the net, but I was so tight during the entire match that I'd be cramping all the way home, right? So what I figured out over the years, over the decades is right now I feel like I play better in tournaments than I do in my practice. It's simply because the picture for me just comes into sharp focus. And for me, sharp focus is clarity. Obviously, it's clarity in simplicity. It's not all of the possible shots I could hit on this one incoming ball, right? It's one incoming ball. Here's the laundry list of, well, here's 17 different types of volleys I could hit. What? How about just the one that gets the job done, right? That instinctive one. So that's another program I got coming out for you guys in the next week or two. Be looking for that. In the meantime, if you're having some elbow issues, I'd like to show you what has helped me. What I've done. And look, I will be honest with you. Occasionally, I get a little twinge. And for me, I don't really get it in the tennis elbow area, the outside. I get it more on the golfer's elbow on the inside. And when I get a twinge, I know exactly what to do in terms of right then and there what I do. And it just works. It just works for me. Again, not a doctor. I can't guarantee anything that I do will work for you. But if you've got an elbow injury right now, and you want to see what I've done, and you want to see what I do to prevent a future elbow injury, I've got a program. The link to the program is down below. It's in the description area. Look, if you got any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. More than happy to see what's going on and get back to you. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Got to get back out at the property, the lower 6, not the lower 40. But we got 6+ acres, a little bit south of Steamboat Springs, out by Stagecoach Reservoir. Exactly 4.8 miles once you turn right on Route 16 on the dirt part of the road. And so we're back in there pretty good. Anyway, we're clearing out some of the standing dead trees. We're clearing out some of the not standing, but laying down dead stuff. And it's all great. I feel like it's really good cross-training work, right? Just involving all kinds of different positions, different muscles, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there you have it. Guys, it's time. Let's get out there today. Let's help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, don't forget, we got the great Jeff Jacklitz coming in Friday for another Jeff rant session. I don't even know what he's going to talk about, which is kind of what I like. I like to say go, and he just goes off, and I go, oh, okay. So anyway, this Friday morning, what's today? Today, I don't have my watch on. Today's the 3rd. That would be the 6th of August. We got the great Jeff Jacklitz on tap for a 7 episode session. In the meantime, get out there, help another human have a great day. Guys, I'll see you again tomorrow.